It's currently the 27th of June, and I've started reading House of Earth and Blood. I think talking about the books I'm reading will get me more invested in the books. And I like the idea of making videos, going through the books I'm reading, talking about them or rereading. I'm not sure fully how I want to do that yet, but this is one method I'm gonna try. So I've read the first 5 chapters. The plan is, it's also 30 degrees, by the way. I'm sweating, but that's not the point. I've read the first 5 chapters. The plan is I'll read a few chapters and then like every few days, maybe once a week, I'll come back and be like, what are my thoughts? Where do I think this is gonna go? This is good because I think this book is like murder mystery. Well, I know it is. So this is a good book to do that with. I'm holding it. First of all, before I started reading this book, I don't really know anything. I know it's like modern fantasy, so like they have like phones and stuff. I know a few characters' names. Like I knew the name Bryce. That's really it. Like it's modern. There's a character called Bryce. It's like more complicated than ACOTAR, which is what I have read ACOTAR. Hopefully by the time this goes up, a video has already gone up about ACOTAR. If I can get my shit together. But yeah, I don't know anything about these books. The reason I'm reading them now is because I want to be ready for ACOTAR 6, which I think there's connections there. So, chapters 1 to 5. First of all, instantly they were like, Bryce was like, oh, there was an outage, and I was like, my big brain, I was like, oh, that's sus. And then later on, she's like, that might have been sus. And then later on, we find out there was 2 murders, and I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure these books are about murders, right? Oh my god. But when a brutal murder shakes the very foundations of the city, Bryce's world comes crashing down. And then the next bit is 2 years later. Bro, I didn't know there was going to be a 2 years later time skip. I have read this blurb, by the way. Like, I have read this. So I don't know why I didn't know that, but I didn't know that. Those 2 murders that happened during the blackout, I thought that was it. And then, cut to, end of chapter whatever it was, 5. Everyone's fucking dead. Because I also was thinking some other things, and then all of that got ruined because of those deaths. We'll get to that, though. First of all, the human rebellion situation. Are we supposed to be team rebellion? Because like obviously that guy, I don't know what his name was, but he like had like bombs and that's like bad. But like generally it seems like we should be pro rebellion because the humans seem to not be doing too great. Bryce talks about how like they don't have a leader among them, but like there's like a group of leaders there together, but like the humans don't have anyone to speak for them or something. So I feel like we should be pro human rebellion but not pro bomb, which like I think that's reasonable. It's so hot. Oh my god. The next thing I wrote down was that I liked Danica and Bryce, like as a duo and separately. And I preferred Danica. So that's great for me if she's fucking dead. Well done. I didn't like that she was like described as being like the most powerful wolf ever, and I'm like, okay, like it sounds like fucking every dickhead in these books has like a character who is just the most powerful ever. Like, not to bring it back to ACOTAR, I will be doing that a lot probably, but it makes me think of like how Reese is like the most powerful Time Lord, bro. Doctor Who on the mind. The most powerful High Lord ever. Like, alright, bro. Like, sure. Like, but she's dead, so whatever. But yeah, I liked that she was powerful and just like didn't care too much about that. But now she's dead, so who fucking cares, I guess. I did also like Bryce. I wrote down that she kinda gives Nesta vibes, which I think is true, but like not really. Because like what I was thinking about, she was talking about how she like doesn't think much of herself. Like she was like about that Connor guy. She was like, oh, he, you know, how could he love me? Or something like that. I didn't fucking write it down. And I was like, oh my god, that's kind of Nesta coded because she like didn't think much of herself. But like maybe I'm just reaching. But I love Nesta, so like maybe that will mean I love Bryce a lot. I'm intrigued by the drop that they mentioned. I was like, oh my god, are we gonna watch Bryce and Danica do the drop together at some point? Bryce mentioned that she's like 23, I think, which would mean we'd have to be 4 years ahead. What the fuck is going on? But like apparently there's a 2-year time skip that I didn't clock. Even though I did read the blurb, so maybe we'll see that. Maybe she'll be forced into it because she did mention that other person was forced into it. I don't know. Okay, yeah, so I then wrote down about Connor and Bryce. I wrote that I didn't think they were going to become a thing because Connor is not a name that I've seen thrown around at all about this series. But I have seen other names thrown around that I don't remember. I've seen like people shipping or like Bryce clearly gets in a relationship with someone, and I've seen their name, but I can't think what it is. But I know it wasn't Connor. I know it was something a bit more creative than Connor. So I was like, yeah, they're not gonna get together. But then I didn't realize that was because he'd be dead. Bryce's dad offering her money for eternal silence about him, whatever that means. Why does she need to be silent? I don't know. Also, I noted that both Bryce and Danica have like absent fathers, and I was like, there's no way that neither of those two are gonna like be brought up or like come and do something annoying at some point, right? Like surely one of them has to show up. We'll see, I guess. That is all I wrote down. That's my first 5 chapters update. The plan is, I don't know how many chapters I'm going to read. It's going to depend. I do have a time limit to get these books read. So if I get locked in, I might end up reading a massive chunk and not updating for a long time. But I'm going to write stuff as I go. So I have my thoughts where I was at that point in the book written down, and I can talk about them. But yeah, that is currently where we're at. Chapter 5. Oh, also, actually, in terms of what I think is going to happen and who the killers are, Sabine, so I'm sus on you, okay? You're bad vibes. Those people obviously to do with the guy getting out of prison or whatever could also be involved, right? I think that's the assumption, is that they're involved. But then she chased off like a creature. How did she just, I don't care, I can't be bothered to look. She like chased off a creature, but like I'd imagine that creature maybe was working for that guy. Maybe. Okay, no, that for real, that's it. That's all I have to say. Okay, it's been a week since my first update on Crescent City. Since then, I've read from chapters 6 to 17. I'm on page 200, and I have a few more thoughts. Not many, to be honest, but I have a few thoughts. So, first of all, there's so many like names and titles and places, and I am following along the story, but all these names and titles, I think at least half of them are going straight over my head. Like in the moment, I'm reading it and being like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like, I'm with you. But if you were like, oh my god, okay, so explain it, I'd be like, oh, I actually don't think I could do that. But like, you know, I'm trying my best. I knew going into these books that there was a lot of that, like it was just very wordy. So hopefully as I get into it, I'll follow it properly. But like the actual story, I'm fine with. It's just all the names, so like I guess it's fine. Also, I said in the first section that Bryce was Nesta coded, and I was like, yeah, kind of, but like she really is, like not fully obviously, but like she is Nesta coded, and I like her a lot. Also in the last section I was like, oh, why was Bryce's dad like paying her for silence or whatever it was he was doing? Turns out her dad's the Autumn King, whatever that means. Which, I mean, crazy apparently. And yeah, he's not a very good guy. Not a very good guy. I do have more to say about him, but we'll get to it. Also, another murder. Didn't realize that was going to happen. I thought it was just the wolves. And it isn't the guy that they thought it was, which is interesting. That makes sense, because, like, it was very obvious, like, just be like, oh, well, yeah, the guy who, the wolves caught in his, like, bombing act got revenge. That's way too simple. Like, way too simple. I feel like my mic is really close to my face. Okay. I really like Rune. I think that's how you say it. I looked up how to pronounce it and it said Rune. I think that's right. I really like Rune, Hun, and Bryce. Like the big 3 right now for me. Which I think is like they are the main 3 characters. Like, yeah, like hello. But I really like all 3 of them a lot. I'm like, yeah, I like them a lot. Interesting for Hunt to be offered like a way lesser sentence for figuring out who killed that rapey vampire guy and all the wolves. Like that's kind of crazy, because like Micah, I think that's how you say it, he doesn't seem like a very nice guy. Like he's got people like working for him because like obviously Hunt was like in the whatever the hell it was, rebellion, or I don't fucking know. So like now he's paying his debts back. For Micah to just be like, oh yeah, I'll like bring your sentence down if you find this person and like figure out what's going on. That's like crazy. Because he doesn't seem like a very nice guy. So I'm sus on that. And Hunt did think, oh, well, maybe the plan is literally to be like, well, you've got to get 10 more demons or whatever, but I'm going to spread that out over decades. Like, maybe that is his plan. But, like, maybe it's not. Maybe Hunt is going to be free. Maybe. Hunt and Bryce have, like, a forced proximity situation going on right now, which is so... Like, I'm trying to think if they get together or not, because I have seen Bryce's name put with someone. I just cannot think who it is. And maybe it was Bryce. Like, I mean, maybe it was Hunt. Maybe they are going to get together. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I do like their dynamic though. Her like, he's like this big like important guy, and she's like, I literally do not care about you, bro. Like, yeah, I like their dynamic a lot. Also, Rune is looking for the horn. Okay, I don't know what that's gonna do for us, but great. Anything else? Oh, and he said that the Oracle, I think it was, told him that his bloodline ends with him, which, like, I would worry that that means he's gonna die, but I've read ACOTAR, and spoilers, fucking no one dies in those books. So I feel like no one's gonna die in these books either, like, no one that we get attached to. His bloodline is gonna end just because he doesn't have kids. I don't think he's gonna die at all, like... I mean, we'll see, but I'm not worried about it. In terms of the investigation, Bryce is currently sus on the Viper Queen, whoever the fuck that is. And where I left off, she like just snuck out, I think, to go and find the Viper Queen, and Hunt has shown up and is like obviously pissed off. I haven't actually got into it yet, but he's just shown up and he's pissed off. But I don't really have any theories. Sabine is a bitch, that's really all I've got. Like, I don't think she'd be killing her own daughter or stepdaughter. I don't know what she is. Yeah, I really don't know. But I don't have anything in terms of investigation, but like I am interested in whatever is going on. Like I'm locked into these books. I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about this series, but I'm in it. I'm in it, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Anything else? Oh, the Autumn King is like being weird because Rune was like, oh my god, you know, father, we have scientists already doing experiments on light, and the Autumn King is like, well, they've got different... She just fell off my computer. Focus. Oh my god, Anyway. Yeah, the Autumn King is like, they've got different interests to me, so like I feel like he's doing something a bit sus. Maybe, I mean, maybe it's not going to be that crazy, but like whatever he is doing, it's not going to be good. I know it's not, because he's bad vibes. I think that's all I have to say on my 200-page update. I didn't expect to read this far. I've actually done really well. Okay, it's been a few more days. I've read from chapters 18 to 25, page 260. I have a few things to say, nothing crazy, but I thought I'd do an update now because I think my next one won't be for a while, so I'm gonna do it now. Okay, so first of all, where I last ended, Bryce had snuck out, I presume to find the Viper Queen, and then she was like, no, I'm getting some salt or whatever it was. Salt? Was it salt? What was it? It was like obsidian or something, whatever. But then the Viper Queen showed up. Irrelevant. She seems cool though, actually, the Viper Queen. I kind of like her. But there was mentions of an owl vendor. She wasn't a vendor of owls. She was like owl vibes. And she sold like books and scrolls and stuff. And Bryce is like, oh, you know, that's a story for another time, you know, who that person is. So I'm like, okay, who is it then? Interesting. Also, Leb, I didn't look up how to pronounce the little whatever she is. She's like a little person, like a little fiery, I don't know. Oh yeah, she guards books, so I'm like, she's like the books she guards are really important, so maybe some drama will happen with the books, and maybe also the owl vendor is related to that. Maybe they just get their books from there sometimes. Right? I don't know. Also, there was a mention that 7 is a holy number, and literally in like the first few chapters there was a lot of mentions of 7, like 7, fuck, I don't even remember, like 7 cities or like 7 something, and I was like, oh my god, what is it with 7? Like, that's so interesting, because not to bring up ACOTAR, but in ACOTAR there's obviously 7 High Lords. I'm like, oh my god, 7, interesting. Turns out 7 is relevant. Well, not relevant, I guess, but like it does mean something. 7 is a holy number. Like, I didn't include it in that first part because I was like, who cares? Like, doesn't really matter. But I mean, I guess it still doesn't. But yeah, 7 is a holy number. God bless. Bryce continues to be Nesta coded. She's like refusing to go to therapy, but she's not like, I feel like Nesta is like really bad vibes. Not like bad vibes, but like deep in her like stuff that happened to her. But Bryce, like, she still doesn't drink. I literally it got to the part where she like, so we'll get to it, but Hunt took her to that murder scene because there was another murder, and then she ran off, and then she ended up in like a bar or whatever because that girl invited her, and Hunt notices she has a drink and he assumes it's like gin or vodka or something, and then he sips it and it's just water. Because I literally highlighted that he noticed that, because I was like, oh, I swear she doesn't drink. Turns out she still doesn't drink, and I love that for her, which is not very Nesta of her. Like, Nesta was like in it, like partying, drinking, all that. But Bryce is like a little bit up in suffering, like just dealing with the suffering, you know? I'm not gonna keep banging on about Nesta, literally not relevant at all. I mean, until there's a crossover situation, which I know does happen. Oh, also, Bryce noticed Hunt's looks, like that little Leherbuck. God, I really should have looked it up. She like is obsessed with how Hunt looks, and Bryce is like, oh, you know, maybe she has a point that Hunt does look good, and I'm like, that's how it starts. And literally a bit later, Hunt is like checking his phone over and over because he's waiting for Bryce to call because he like messed up over the murder and letting her see all that. So I'm getting vibes. I'm getting vibes. I think I do think they're gonna get together. Like, I do. What is that on my shirt? Please. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. Also, there's been a lot of mentions that Bryce's leg hurts. She did mention why, like something made it hurt again, because she obviously got it on that first murder in the alley or whatever. But I'm wondering if that's gonna come up and be a problem for her, or if it's just like she just has a bit of a dodgy leg, like, and it's not really a thing that does anything other than her just mentioning it every now and then. We'll see, I guess. We also found out about the horn. Okay, I wrote it down. The Prince of the Pit made new creatures to hunt for the horn, and the creatures are the demons that we've been seeing killing people. The horn was eventually used to shove all the dickheads back into hell, and they've like only just connected the dots that that's what the horn was for, I guess, and connected the dots that the demons were out hunting for the horn. So their plan is like, Rune has some weird connection with the horn because he found a book. Now they're gonna use his connection to hopefully find the horn, attract a demon, and figure out where the demons are being summoned from, or like who's summoning them from there, I guess. Right? I guess that's the plan. Which is interesting. I like that they're a little trio, I think it's fun. Anything else? Oh yeah, there was another murder. Which, oh god, the murders keep happening. I thought it was that one or two like deaths when the lights went out and like all the electricity went out. I was like, I thought that was it, but no, more people are dying over and over. What else? Oh, and we found out that Micah was the guy from the alley, and Bryce was fuming that Hunt and no one else told her about that. Which, like, yeah, I'd be fuming too, actually. I feel like she should have known that. Especially when she said she was like phoning up and being like, you know, what's happening with the guy I found in the alley, and she just got no information. Like, bro. Hunt was like, oh, I shouldn't have told her that. Like, maybe I can bribe her with a bag. And I'm like, I don't think he knows her at all. Like, not that she wouldn't like a bag. I'm sure she likes bags, but like, he thinks a lot less of her than he should by now, I feel like. It's a bit weird. I'm kind of rooting for them, but also Hunt is annoying sometimes, but I do also like him. Yeah, I think that's it. How did it end off? Oh my god, the club exploded. That's where I've ended it. Okay, great. I don't know why. Bryce looked towards the booth, and when she saw her cousin there were trenches of hell warmer than the look she gave Rune. Juniper tracked her gaze. Bryce took all of one step towards the booth before the club exploded. Is that her anger that's caused that, or is like someone dropped a bomb in the club? I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'll find out soon. Next update, probably another 100 or 200 pages. It's 30 degrees. Cheers. It's been a few days. I didn't plan on doing another update for like a week or so, but I've read a decent amount, so it's only been a couple days. Where I ended off, it was 30 degrees. It's still 30 degrees. And a bomb went off. I was like, is that Bryce? It was a bomb. It was a bomb. So they were thinking that it was Briggs because they were like, oh, maybe it's his people just like picking up where he left off, basically, because he had plans to bomb that place. And then they went to visit him, and he was like, well, I've been in prison being tortured for a couple years, so I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but it is possible that they're doing that in my name. So I guess maybe it's them. Also, in my last update, I said that Hunt was like, he was like waffling about getting Bryce a handbag or a purse or some shit, and I was like, he doesn't know her like he should know her by now. But now they're like, I think he knows her now. Like, not long after that, he said sorry for assuming stuff about her, and he like generally seemed more understanding. And since then, there have been a lot of moments where they're like clearly they feel like a type of way, and each one of them knows that about the other one as well. Like, they both know that they both like each other, like 1000%, but no one's making a move because like there's drama. And also Hunt is like stuck on this other girl that died, what was her name? Sahar. I've written it down. Yeah, is that how you say it? Sahar. The way he described their relationship, by the way, was interesting. Like, am I supposed to see that relationship as being like a proper, they were in love, she died because of this drama, or am I supposed to see it as kind of weird and like power imbalancey? Because it felt, the way he described it, felt kind of power imbalancey. I will actually read it right now. I've got my book right here. Let me find the page. I wrote it down. I grew up in Sahar's territory in the southeast of Panjira. Ooh. And as I worked my way up the ranks of her legions, I fell in love with her vision for the world, with her ideas about how the angel hierarchies might change. Sahar was the only one who'd ever suggested to me that I'd been denied anything by being born a bastard. She promoted me through her ranks until I served as her right hand, until I was her lover. Sounds to me like this woman kind of, like, that doesn't sound like they were in love. It sounds like he was below her and he fell in love with this woman who was like, he saw as amazing and had great ideas and all this stuff, you know? That doesn't sound like love, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, next thing, there was a mention of Randall, Bryce's dad, and I was like, for some reason, I suddenly was like sus on him. I was like, oh my god, maybe Randall has something to do with this, but I think I'm just crazy and just like digging for anything to be sus and for me to like, because I just think it would be cool if I knew something, you know, and I got it right. But I think Randall's just a guy, and I think I'm crazy. Next thing. Oh, they said Rune would be needed by whoever has the horn to make it work or fix it or something like that. And because he's like Faeborn, but I was like, but Bryce is also Faeborn, so surely they could also use her. And like, they didn't say that in that moment because Hunt was there, and obviously he doesn't know that they're siblings. But I was like, surely, oh, I just hit the mic. Surely Bryce could also be used, but maybe not because she like doesn't have the power or something. So maybe only Rune could be used because he's the one with the power and she doesn't have all that power. I was gonna go back and check and like see what they said, but I couldn't be bothered. So maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe Bryce is irrelevant. Also, Bryce took a picture on Hunt's phone and was like, oh, see, now you have one photo that's not a corpse. And I was like, oh my god, imagine if it turns out she dies. Then it's like, well, turns out kind of he does have a picture of a corpse because she's dead. You know what I mean? But I think I'm also reaching with that as well. I don't think she's gonna die. I think she's in all of these books. The next thing, they went to visit the Oracle, or well, Hunt went to visit the Oracle, and she very conveniently is like, sorry, there are some things that I just can't tell you about. Sorry, I can't speak about those. Bro, of course you can't speak about those things that we need to know about. Also, her saying to Hunt to stay away from Bryce, I don't know why, first of all, but I like that Hunt told Bryce that the Oracle said that and didn't like sit in it and like and like keep that to himself and like kind of like he had something on Bryce, like, and then he would look at her sus. He just was like, yeah, she said that to me. And he doesn't seem to care at all. What else? We found out that Danica was working in the temple where the horn was, like, I think when it was stolen or like around the time it was stolen. So they think that she saw something and they tried to kill her. We also found out that the ley lines are being used. The power from the ley lines are being used to summon the demon, which, like, ley lines just makes me think of the Raven Cycle. I love the Raven Cycle. I should read that again. I have reading plans for like the next year. I can't I can't be reading that. Then Sabine came up. Turns out she was in charge of looking at the footage. She changed the footage from like outside the thing to something else when the horn was taken. I knew Sabine was gonna be in this somewhere. I knew it because she has bad vibes. Awful vibes, like awful. I don't know if like what that means though in terms of like, so she was involved, but like how else was she involved? I don't know. Did she actually do anything? Like, would she kill Danica or like help with killing Danica? Clearly she doesn't care. She didn't like Danica. I don't know. The last thing I have to say is there's been a lot of chat about like opening rifts, and there was a mention of 15,000 years, and like the year is 15,000 and something where they are right now. And that just makes me think of Amryn, because like she's like 50,000 years old or something like that, and from like past, and she like came through a rift. And like I know that there's a crossover at some point. I think maybe at the end of the third book there's some kind of crossover. So I'm like, these rifts are clearly going to be a thing. We're going to go through a rift, probably, right? And I'm thinking, is ACOTAR and Crescent City two separate things, and like separate universes? I don't fucking know. And we're gonna like go through, like, is the year 15,000? Are we saying that ACOTAR is like in the past and this is the future 15,000 years or however many years? I don't know what year it's meant to be in ACOTAR. Or are we saying they're just like two separate places, and but there is going to be a rift that's going to connect them at some point? I don't know. Like, I'm thinking that it's the second option, that ACOTAR isn't the past from where we are now. I think they're two separate things. But I'm assuming Bryce and whoever else are going to like go through a rift and then get spat out in Prithian. That's what I'm assuming. I mean, that's like 2.5 books away. Oh, one more thing. Actually, last thing. The Oracle like freaked out at Bryce when she went to see her. Why? Who knows? Not me. That's all I have to say. I'm a little under halfway through. I'm on track where I need to be with this book. I'm very invested in it. Like, it's kind of weird that I'm not like, I thought I would be missing the romance, because like going into this I knew that ACOTAR romance heavy. This has romance but is much more world buildy, and I haven't really been missing the romance much. I'm not even like that obsessed with Hunt and Bryce as I've been getting into this. Like, they get on. I like them. I like them as characters more on their own than I do with them as a couple or potential couple, because nothing has happened yet. And I do like them as a couple, but I'm not like, oh my god, they're gonna get together. Like, yeah, they're gonna get together, obviously, and that's fine. But I'm not dying over it like I thought I would be. Like, get any scrap of romance I could get. Like, I'm not that bothered. There's not that much romance, you know? That's all I have to say. Okay, I'm back with an update. I've read about, I think, 150-ish pages. Oh god, I'm looking at the wrong place. When I was last here, I ended with Sabine being revealed to be tampering with footage. Since then, a lot of shit has happened. Okay, so, first of all, they spent like 2 pages where they were like, oh, what could Sabine like have, like, what could her plan have been? What is she doing? And then Bryce was like, there's actually no point in doing this because like Sabine is a strange person and we could never figure out her motive. So we just spent like 2 pages being like, what could she have meant by this? And then Bryce is like, well, this was a waste of time. And I was like, great. There's 800 pages in this book. There could be 798 pages because that was a waste of time. The next thing that happened, I say the next thing, I don't know if this is all in order. I just kind of wrote shit down. Rune went to visit a medwitch about, I think, repairing the horn, and he was just like kind of obsessed with her. I didn't write down anything specific that he said, but he just like had vibes. He was very into her, and I was like, I mean, I'm not against that, but like, okay, it just kind of came from nowhere. I didn't expect it. Hunt and Bryce went to visit the Wraith Victoria for information, and Hunt kind of, I think, touched Bryce's leg to kind of comfort her, I guess. And Victoria was like, what are you doing? Like, she didn't say that, she just had vibes, she wasn't happy, and I was like, okay, interesting. They realised that the ley lines weren't being used, it was actually the sewers. Okay. Bryce's leg is being brought up again and again and again. Like, Hunt asked about her leg and she was like, yeah, I got it checked out, which was a lie. And I'm just like, why is that coming up? I mean, maybe it literally is that she just has a bad leg, but like, it's coming up enough that I'm like, maybe something bad is gonna happen because of her bad leg, or her bad leg is gonna be revealed to be worse than just the little bad leg. You know? They also spoke to a merman, which is like, there's so many characters and people and places in this book, I'm getting confused all the time. But the merman seemed very cool. I love a mermaid. Obsessed, obsessed. They did some more flirting, and like Hunt has complimented her a bit. He was like, you know, you're good at this, you know, it's been fun working with you, even though it's been horrific and traumatic. And then like a bit later, they like nearly, I feel low-key, they almost get it on. Oh, like the roof. Ow, I just unmoved my desk. They go crazy on the roof, but then Sabine turns up. Well, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Oh, there was mentions of the bone core, which sounds really interesting. Hunt basically was thinking about Danica's death and like the funeral vibes, and the bone core is part of that, I guess. And he was like, Danica's boat went straight to the island, which means the bone king, yeah, the Bone King deems her worthy, I guess, like, of being on that island with him, and he wonders if she roams the Misty Island. And I'm like, could we just visit her on the island? Let's just visit Danica's ghost on the island, ask her what she was up to. Hello? Is that not obvious? Or is that just like metaphorical? We're saying they're not actually ghosts there, but like, what is it then? I want to know more about the Bone Court. It sounds interesting. Okay, then Bryce ran off because she was feeling depressed and lonely, and Hunt basically caught up with her, but then the demon shows up and they fight, and Bryce is like, that was like a really easy fight. How interesting. We'll get to that again. This is when they have the moment on the roof, but then Sabine shows up and basically reveals that it was Danica who stole the horn. And Hunt a bit later on is like, I've never known Sabine to be a liar, you know, so she's probably telling the truth. And I'm like, did we or did we not just reveal that Sabine changed the video footage? Like, what do you mean you've never known her to be a liar? But okay, sure. What else? Oh, the med witch that Rune was obsessed with showed up, and she was like, there's this new drug that like can be used to heal really, really fast. So maybe that could be used to fix the horn, which is interesting. They have a new theory as well now that Danica took the horn to stop someone else from getting their hands on it, because like, why would Danica want it herself? There's been a lot about Danica being like a very good person and like she cares about people. I'm wondering if either that's true and they are setting up that she was not doing anything nefarious, is that the right word? Like nothing dodgy, and she was a good person, or it's going to be revealed that actually Bryce didn't know a certain side of her and actually she was up to some nonsense. I'm leaning towards the Danica was good, and she actually probably was trying to stop the horn from being used for something bad, right? That's what I'm leaning towards. Bryce then observes that the demon is not, was it the Crystallos didn't kill Danica because the way they were killed was different to how the demon tried to kill her and Hunt the other day. Like Danica and that were like limbs all over the place. So she's like, oh, that's different. That couldn't have been the same thing that killed them, which is interesting. Like, so who the fuck killed her? This, like, I can't even predict anything because shit just keeps happening. Like, I don't even, what else? Oh, at the end of a chapter, Bryce is like, oh, I've got a plan, by the way, and then 5 seconds into the next chapter, just a demon is there. Like, they really, like, went from 0 to demon in about 5 sentences. It was crazy. His name's Adas. He's, what was he? The Star Eater, maybe? I didn't write that down. He basically has nothing to do with it. He's like, bro, us demons don't give a fuck about whatever you're talking about. We have other shit going on. But he tells Bryce to just run some tests again. So she phones up Declan and is like, are there any other tests that you could do that weren't done? And he's like, well, yes, there's this other test that the Autumn King basically was like, don't do that. And Bryce was like, what the fuck? And like storms to the Autumn King's house or mansion or whatever the fuck he has, and is like, what the fuck? But she can't get in, so like that kind of goes nowhere. She's just pissed off that the Autumn King didn't give a fuck and was like, didn't want to be involved, I guess, and just didn't. He was like, don't concern yourself with this, I guess. Ada says some weird cryptic shit about Bryce making the drop, and he's like, you know, make the drop and then come and find me. Okay, whatever that means. Bryce ends up drinking. Great. Also, I think I said before that Sahara and Hunt's relationship did not seem like a proper love situation. And I think I'm right because a bit earlier, Lehaba, I didn't look up how to say it, mentioned to Hunt that like Hunt said sorry or something for his involvement in like whatever the fuck he was up to. And Lehaba was like, you know, but you followed her, like it wasn't all on you, you were following her. And I'm like, you're right, he fucking was following her. And now he is saying like he followed her blindly into whatever it was they were involved in. I don't remember. And I'm like, exactly, it sounds like she was just very powerful and persuasive and he got caught up in that and she let him get caught up in that. Right? Hunt then gives some of Danica's clothes to be tested on, and we're basically just waiting for those tests to happen. I don't really have any theories about what's going on, but I am very invested in it. I actually I wanted to keep reading, but I was like, no, I need to record this first because I don't want to get too far ahead. But now that I've recorded this, oh, I'm gonna be reading. Okay, trust. I'm interested to know more about Adas. I'm assuming we are, and he just has an interest in Bryce, and I'm like, why? I was thinking maybe the Oracle kind of freaked out when she saw Bryce's future because Bryce is going to be involved in some bad things that even the Oracle is like uncomfortable with, and it's like too far for the Oracle to like fully process, like hell shit, you know? But like what does that even mean? I don't even know what that means. I'm on chapter 53, 54. I'm over halfway. You can't really tell, but I am over halfway. Thank God. These books are fucking long as hell. I don't know where the other two are, but I think they are about the same length. Great. It makes me very happy. I'll be back in a few days for another update. Okay, it's been a couple of days. I have read a lot more than I thought I would read in this amount of time, but it's time for another update, for real. I read, I think, about 100 pages. Yeah, about 100 pages. Chapters 54 to 67. Where we ended, Micah had called Hunt and was like, get your ass here, and also we were waiting for results on those extra tests. So what happened with that? Micah, he basically just threatened Hunt and was like, you need to get your shit figured out, okay? The summit, is that what it's called? It's in 2 weeks, okay? Stop falsely accusing people like Sabine. Get your shit together. And like as a punishment for the false accusation to Sabine, he like sent Hunt out to kill some people. Hunt got back from that in an absolute state, and Bryce basically took care of him. It was actually like quite cute. And then the next morning things were like kind of awkward, and she was like thinking dirty thoughts, and he was like, oh, I can sense your dirty thoughts. It was a lot. But I think they're cute. They were cute. The next thing that happened was they basically found out about this drug called synth that apparently was on Danica's clothes when she died, and I think on someone else's clothes when they died. And they basically, Bryce and Hunt, they asked around and they found out that Danica knew what synth was. Because she was at the river for like one of the first shipments of it or something like that. And Bryce phones Fury, and Fury fucking picks up the phone for once in her life and is like, yeah, Danica knew all about these drugs, but she didn't tell you because it's like a drug that would that could affect you seriously, and you like loved drugs back in the day. So she didn't want to like risk you finding out about it and going on a little drug spree. Also, Fury mentioned that the people who bombed the pub or whatever it was a while ago was that guy's people. Oh god, what is his name? Begins with a P. The guy who they thought killed Danica but didn't, him. So yeah, it was his people, I guess, that did that. We also find out a bit about Hunt's mum. Basically, she was just killed for some money. That was it, basically. And Bryce thinks in that, she's like, oh, Sahar, the woman Hunt loves, like, Hunt said he went to war pretty swiftly after his mum died, and Bryce kind of thinks the memory of his mum gets him violent. Like Sahar used those memories to make him violent and fight for her cause, which like, I can't remember what her cause was, but I think her cause was a good cause, right? But like, I am of the opinion that their love was not proper, but I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion or I'm just reaching. But later on, Hunt kind of thinks about it as well, and like to him, what Sahar did was like pull him out of his grief. So maybe it was that instead. Maybe it was a bit of both. I don't know. There was also a moment where Bryce says to Rune about the witch, and she basically like, "Do you fancy this witch?" And Rune is like, "No, I'm just like grateful that she's helping us." And I'm like, "Right, okay, sure." Keep telling yourself that. So Bryce's initial theory was that the synth leak came from the place that Danica works at. So Danica was involved because she was trying to like keep track of it, track it down, get rid of it or whatever, and during that she found out about the horn and the plans to fix the horn, which is why she took the horn to stop all that from happening. This obviously is not accurate, which we'll get to. But that's their initial plan. And I was like, that sounds like a good theory, but like so much shit has been happening in these books that I'm like, even though that was a good theory, I was like, we'll see if that actually sticks. And like, it obviously doesn't end up, it ends up being completely wrong. And at one point, Hunt is literally like, damn, it really just keeps coming back to Danica, doesn't it? And I was like, honestly, it really does keep coming back to her. And then after, it just keeps coming back to her, which, like, it makes sense, but it's like, God, it really is about her, innit? Also, why is there a massive water creature in the place where Bryce lives? Also, I've got fans on, by the way, hopefully they're not too loud. But why is that there? Surely that's not just, like, for show and it's gonna do something scary, right? Maybe. Hunt mentions that Bryce's leg probably has some venom in it, but Bryce is like refusing to get it checked because she's like, oh no, this is like, I need to feel the pain, all that nonsense. And then we find out that, oh, the Medwitch, she wants venom to try and like make an antidote for the synth stuff. And Bryce is like, well, I know where there's some venom, let's use my leg. And listen, my brain is so big because I knew the leg mentions weren't just gonna be, oh yeah, she's got a bad leg. Right, I knew it was gonna come to something. We also get mentions of Danica being in the bone quarter, and I'm like, that's cool. I want to speak to her for real. I think I said in my last update, like, why don't we just hit her up and ask her what went on? But like, we know now, so it doesn't matter. I mean, I haven't got to it, but like, we know now. But you know, they could have just hit her up. Bryce does some digging. She finds videos that Danica had hid for her, and this is where I'm actually a bit of a genius. Okay, so she watches these videos. It's this person on synth, this woman, these two men come in. She fights the men, kills the men, rips them up like Danica and the pack were. But then she does it to herself. So my brain, I was like, oh, so Danica just did that then. So Danica did that. She killed the wolves, then killed herself. But I was like, I don't know how that would happen though. Like I just, because I didn't think Danica was on drugs, so I was like, oh, maybe that doesn't make sense. But that was my first thought. Oh, Danica just did that. Turns out she did do that. Because I'm really smart. In the midst of this, Bryce and Hunt actually start getting together, which like was crazy because I was like, bro has just had his wings cut off, by the way, and they're doing all of this, and then lo and behold, he starts bleeding. I'm like, yeah, obviously I could have told you that was gonna happen. Which also, by the way, the wing thing is crazy. When they were like, oh my god, we're gonna cut his wings off, I was like, oh, you're gonna what? But then they were like, yeah, it grows back in like a few weeks anyway, and I was like, oh. I thought he was just going to be wingless. I thought that would have been cooler, but like wings will come in handy at some point later on, I'm sure. So I'm glad. I'm sure we'll be glad he grew them back, you know. Then Bryce gets a call from the merman guy. We're kind of going back and forth a bit here, but Bryce gets a call from the merman guy, who I love, by the way. And they go there. They find Hunt and his friends basically trying to get hold of the synth stuff so they can rebel and free themselves. And Bryce is like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And that's when we find out about Danica being in on the stuff, and they're like, yeah, she like killed the two people from the beginning, the initial blackout. She's been summoning demons by accident because of the power, because of the obsidian in the stuff, and also the horn is actually completely irrelevant to everything. She probably just took it to piss off her mum. Okay. And like probably sold it on the black market or something. That's where we are right now. Wait, is that actually the last thing that happened? Oh, yeah. So that's where we ended. They got took away. Hunt and the gang got took away. They're all going to be punished. They're saying Hunt is going to get a worse punishment than the other two. I actually find it really interesting this whole time he had been scheming away. I think that makes him and also his relationship with Bryce way more interesting. Not that I wasn't into it, because like they're cute together, but him being a little like sneaky guy. Interesting. Also, I will say I skimmed through the book. I don't know why. I don't know what I was doing. But I caught the word Danica, and like it was like Danica said or says Danica or something like that. So like Danica is like around in some capacity. Are we gonna visit her at the bone place? Is she secretly alive? I don't think so. I think she ripped her limbs off her body and it's definitely dead. But yeah, that's where we're at. I feel like I spoke really fast then. That was a bit crazy. I'm at part 4. Is it part 4? Part 4. I'm at part 4. I might read this whole part and then just do a final update. We'll see like how fast I get through it and when I can record a little update. We'll see how we go. So this there's either going to be one more update or probably 2 more updates. We'll see. But all those reveals, I actually loved all those reveals. Because I said before, like, they've been saying a lot that Danica is a good person. And I edited that little section earlier. And I said that I was leaning towards that Danica is a good person. Which, like, not that she's a bad person, but like she was clearly fucked up. Doing drugs and stuff. So yeah, all the mentions of her being so good were hinting at reveals that she actually had shit going on. Oh, so smart. Oh my god, I'm so smart. That's crazy. 1 or 2 more updates. We're nearly done. Okay, it's literally the next day. I've read about 100 pages. I'm zooming through. I have a bit less than 100 left. So, where we left off, Hunt revealed to be sneaking around, okay? Hunt got second thoughts about going through with the plan because he was like, oh, but what I've got with Bryce is good, and he tried to kind of pull out of it, but it was too late. The other two were like, no, we're fucking doing this. And Micah, like, I think Micah was told about that, so I was like, oh, maybe that will mean Hunt won't get a worse sentence, because they were saying that Hunt was going to get a worse sentence than the other two. But no, Micah did not care. So now Hunt is Sabine's slave, instead of Micah's slave, which is like infinitely worse because like of the dramas before. You know what I'm saying? What else happened? There's a shit has gone down. It's actually a bit crazy. The Autumn King went to visit Bryce, and I like actually found it kind of interesting because up until now I was like, oh, he's just like a prick, like who actually cares? But he was like, oh, you know, I did love your mum. Obviously, Bryce was like, do one, I literally don't care, which is understandable, and I don't know that the Autumn King is going to go on to become a very interesting character overall. But I did like that he went there, and like there was a moment where he wasn't like Autumn King. He was like, I did love your mum. I just found it interesting. I don't know. I was also thinking that like what Hunt did wasn't like that bad. Like yeah, like Bryce should have been fuming at him, but I was like she should forgive him. But and then she does forgive him, and I was like, but you've forgiven him kind of fast. It was like 1 second she was like, no, I hate him. The next second she was like, oh, like even though he did wrong, he doesn't deserve this. I'm gonna go and like offer to take his place. And I'm like, what? I mean, you're right, and I love that you think that he doesn't deserve this, and I'm glad that you've forgiven him. But also, it happened so quickly, and also offering to take his place is way too much. Like that's way too much. Luckily it didn't work because that would have been bad, I think. When during that it came out that the Autumn King is Bryce's dad, which so far has meant nothing. Like nothing has happened because of that. No one seems to care, but that is information that's out there now, I guess. Then the summit started. Oh my god, I was reading it and I was so bored. I was like, bro, I don't care about any of these people. And then literally the characters were like, oh my god, this is so boring. And I was like, oh my god, it is so boring. But then it got kind of interesting because Queen Hypraxia was there, and they realized it. I mean, Rune realized it was the Medwitch that he'd been speaking to. I wasn't fully sure who Queen Hypraxia was. I was like, I think that might be the person that was gonna potentially get set up with Rune. But then luckily Rune was like, oh, that's the person I was gonna get set up with, and he spoke to her about it, and she didn't seem interested in him at all, which is like sad times for him because he definitely fancied her that time when they first met. So I don't know if that's gonna come to anything, but like they did seem to get on. So like maybe, I don't know, maybe she'll change her mind, but also maybe not, I don't know. So okay, this is where shit goes crazy. Micah shows up to Bryce's workplace and basically reveals that he's the guy. He's the guy. Everything was him, basically. He's like, I was invested in the place that Danica worked, and you know, she told you what she did, but she was actually lying, and what she really was doing was like searching for people for the company. And some of the people that she found were making synth, so then he was like interested in synth, and Danica realized he was interested in synth, and like I guess put together that he wanted to use the synth to get the horn, and his plan with the horn was to like open portals, bring in people to help him kill humans, end the human rebellion thing, and then also maybe use that power and the people to like go to other places or like and like be in charge of other places. Maybe like he had big power plans, basically, is what we're saying. Okay. Danica actually turns out is good, because I was saying before, is she good or has she got shit? Turns out she was just good. Like, she just straight up was just good and wanted to help people, and she died for it. Oh, that's kind of sad. Yeah, so he knew Danica was, like, always gonna want to save these people because she's, like, nosy and a good person. And she tried to, like, get it off the streets and stuff, which is why she was at that shipment, I guess. He gave Danica synth, which is why she killed her pack and then herself. So she wasn't a druggie. I'm trying to think who said that Danica was a druggie and was obsessed with synth. Like, did Fury believe that? Because like, where has that information come from then? Is that what they were told? I guess they were told that Danica secretly was doing hardcore synth. Yeah, I guess so, right? Initially, I found the reveal that Micah was basically behind everything a bit like kind of less interesting than Danica actually being the one kind of causing drama. Like I found it more interesting that Danica was secretly this drug addict and she didn't tell her best friend these things. Like, she had this secret side to her. Like, that was a more interesting reveal when that happened. So then to go to another reveal pretty much straight after that contradicts basically every single thing I've just read, I was like, oh. So what was the point in all of that? But like, and I kind of am still kind of that opinion, just because like, who can predict this? Who reading this book has predicted any of these things, by the way? Like, the things I predicted turned out to be fake. I mean, I guess Danica did kill the Packen herself, but not because of the reasons I thought. Like, I thought she was just on drugs, but they were like, no, that was just a lie. Like, I feel like some of this stuff is, like, not seeds planted. It's just like, we're telling you one thing, actually that's a lie, we lied to you. Do you know what I mean? But also, I am loving it, so, like, who cares, actually? Because I am into it, but, like, I don't know. I was found it jarring to then be given a million other things that actually happened that contradicted what we were just told. But yeah, I did get into it, and I loved Bryce killing Micah. I thought that was so good. Also, I wrote one of my first notes for this like section was about the gun, and I was like, that gun keeps getting mentioned. That gun is so gonna get used, and then lo and behold, the gun gets used, which like is not that big brain on my part because like yeah, a gun gets mentioned, a gun gets used. That's like very basic. That's like the most basic storytelling there actually is. But I am proud of myself for thinking of that because like I'm trying to lock in, you know? I also love that everyone was just watching Bryce do all of this like through the cameras. I thought that was very cool. What else? Oh, the water guy did kind of come into things. I was like, why is there just a water guy? Yeah, he was like the animal got chucked in. Fuck, what was it called? Syrinx. I don't know what his name was. No, he's not dead, he's alive, I think, right? Got chucked in there. And then Leba dying. Lehaba? Bro, she's fucking dead and I don't know how to say her name. Literally nearly made me cry. I was like tearing up. I was like, damn, that like it like hit like they were saying she's like the lowest, like one of the lowest like creatures in the land, basically, and she's just saved everyone. Like obviously Bryce did the killing, but she wouldn't have done that without her. Oh god, I loved that. I did love that so much. And everyone like, what did they do? Did everyone stand up with her like watching, or they did something to like show like they were grateful or what? I don't know what they did. I don't remember, but I loved it. Oh, I also wrote down that I guess it does make sense that Danica is as nice as Bryce thought she was and wasn't like hiding some insane drug secret, because like she literally left hints for Bryce to find and help figure things out, right? Like why would she have done that if she was like on drugs being sneaky? She wouldn't have done that, but she knew that someone was coming after her, so she was like, if I die, here's information, hopefully my best friend can figure it out for me, you know? Like that kind of makes sense. But also it's insane, why has she got the horn tattooed on her back? I cannot for the life of me understand why Danica would do that. I think that's fucking crazy. That's crazy. Also, I literally was like, I was writing notes down, and then a note I wrote down was like, why doesn't Micah just cut the tattoo off of Bryce's back? And then literally 2 sentences later, I read Micah being like, I'm just gonna cut you up. I was like, in my mind, see, I can think like a villain. She obviously, yeah, she kills him, she takes the antidote, she's fine. Where did I end off? I don't remember. Oh, also actually, Bryce mentions at one point that she put all of this together herself, like about how she had the horn in her back, like because of all the timings of the demons showing up and who they attacked and all that. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You just didn't though, did you? You're lying. You did not figure that out. I don't believe you. Like, what are you talking about? That's like when Micah came in, he was like, Bryce, I know you know, like I know you know, and I was like, no, she doesn't. Like, how would she know? And then later on, she's like, yeah, I figured that out. Fine, 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 fine. Where did I end off? Um, oh, literally, Micah's just dead now. It's crazy though, because like when I started reading this section, these last 100 pages, I was like, I realized like we had just had so many reveals about Danica, but now we've got 200 pages left of this book, so like obviously something else crazy is about to happen. I still got 100 pages, so something else crazy might happen as well. So yeah, like I should have seen a fucking another big reveal coming, but I thought it was about Danica. I was like, yeah, she did that shit. I don't know what's gonna happen now. There's 100 pages left. I'm excited to be done with this book, but I've really enjoyed it. Do I have anything else to say about the last 100 pages? I don't think so. I think that's it. The Micah stuff, yeah, at first I was like, and then like as it kept going, I was so in it. I was like, oh my god, Bryce is gonna kill his ass. She got him. Great. Love it. I really want to look up as well, like pictures of what these characters look like, but I've been scared of being spoiled for something, because like it's kind of like an ACOTAR. Like if you search up Nesta or something and you see her with her pointy ears, you're like, oh fuck. You know? Damn. ACOTAR spoilers, sorry. So I don't want to look up something and be spoiled, but I think I'm safe at this point to look up these characters, but I'll probably wait until I'm done with this book at least. But yeah, that's it for now. For about 1 second. and then I'll be back with the final update. Okay, it's final update time. So, where we left off, what was going on? Micah dead as hell. Micah dead as hell. There was still 100 pages left, so I was like, obviously, I assume something crazy is gonna happen. Something crazy happened. Turns out, Micah, he's opened portals everywhere, bro. I say everywhere, maybe like just at the gates, but like there's portals, okay? There's portals. Also, turns out this whole time Bryce has had some light power, and that's what the Oracle saw. And that's like how she actually, turns out she actually saved her mum and Randall when they were like running away from the Autumn King's guys going after them, which I actually think is kind of fun that she saved everyone. I do kind of love that. Despite this coming out of nowhere, I do like that she has powers. I think that's fun. There's also multiple moments in the book where a character is like, let me see, wait, I wrote it down. Like that's why this character did this. Oh, it's because it turns out this thing. Like, in these 100 pages, at one point, Hunt was like, oh yeah, I mentioned that having powers or something is a burden. And Bryce kind of just agreed and then like kind of changed the subject, and he's like, oh, I guess that's why, because she does have powers this whole time. And then a bit before, Rune was like, oh, this is why I was so drawn to Bryce. It's because she has the horn and he has a connection with finding the horn. So like, I think it's going to be interesting if I reread these books, which like, maybe I will. For the fourth book, I imagine I might want to read through these again. It'll be interesting to go back and read that and see moments I noticed now that I didn't notice before. Like, did Rune really show up to see Bryce often? I don't know. Maybe. Did that scene with Hunt happen? I don't know. I don't remember. I assume it did happen. I don't remember. I think that's going to make this book a good book to reread because of things like that. Next thing, before they were like, oh my god, only the Starborn line can use the horn, whatever. And I was like, I said something like, oh, so surely Bryce is involved in that because she was part of the line. But I was like, oh, I guess she doesn't have power, so I guess that's irrelevant. But turns out because she does have power, she is involved, and that's why Bryce gave her, I mean, that's why Danica gave Bryce the tattoo, is because actually she has the power and she can use the horn. So I was like, Danica, girl, why have you done that? Turns out that's why she did it, because the power, she has the power. Bryce is like out and about, trying to save everyone, stressing, killing demons. Meanwhile, Hunt is freed by Hypaxia, who I'm pretty sure I've called Hypraxia for this whole video. Whoops. I don't think I've mentioned her many times, so like, not that crazy. Yeah, he's freed. He basically becomes in charge once he gets freed. Bryce, out and about killing demons. She ends up doing the drop, like, on her own, kind of, but like then Danica's there, kind of, like Danica Ghost, Danica Soul, Danica Essence is there. I actually thought it was really nice. It was it was like a, what's their quote? I wrote it down. Through love, all is possible. Oh, that is gonna work on me. I do love it, and love saves the day. That is gonna work on me every time. So I did like that a lot. And she was saying that like all the other people like that died, like Connor and that, are also like on the island. She like, I think she like sees them or something, their vibes, and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, love that. What else? Obviously, loads of people die. Luckily for Hunt, he's alive because he was like not quite dead. Despite the fact he like jumped from a plane or a helicopter, he jumped from very high, landed on the ground, was broken in half. He probably had like seconds to live, but luckily Bryce brought people back to life. Well, not back to life, like back from the brink of death or whatever. So lucky him, basically. What else happened? Oh, turns out now she has like all the power of everyone that touched they gave drops of power at the gate or whatever. So like now she's crazy powerful because she has all of their power, which is so Feyre of her. Like Feyre having all the High Lord's power. Now Bryce has everyone's power. Right, okay. I do love that for her though. But it is also though another one of these. She's like the most powerful because she has everyone's power. She's more powerful than the Autumn King. Like, everyone's the fucking most powerful in these books. And that's like it. Oh yeah, the reason she has all the power is because she was connected to the gates. And she used the power, like, she, like, got, all the power was used to, like, close all of the demon portals, basically. Which does make sense, and I do like that. It was a good little, you know, it was good, I liked it. Yeah, that's it. They're basically gonna live happily ever after as long as they just shut the hell up about everything that happened. I know that's not gonna be the case because I actually have started the next book already. Even if I hadn't started the next book, I would know that that's not the case. Because, like, there's gonna be 4 books in this series at least. I think there's one more to go. Oh, the last thing we have is the epilogue where Jessica and I think Adas, is that his name? Like that, the cat guy. They're like talking about Hunt and they're like, yeah, Hunt's dad would be so proud of him. Who is Hunt's dad? I have zero theories. I literally do not have a single theory. I don't know who his dad is. But yeah, that's the book. I had a lot of fun reading this book. I was like, at the beginning, I was overwhelmed by all the names, all the places, all the stuff. And like, I will say, I think if you were like explain it, I still wouldn't be able to fully explain it. But it actually wasn't too bad in the end. Like, I was following fine. It wasn't that crazy. I don't think. I did watch a recap of the whole book just to like make sure I had taken in everything. I did that with ACOTAR when I first read ACOTAR like 2.5 years ago. After each book, I would watch a video going through the plot of the book, just because I like videos like that, but also because I wanted to make sure I had got it locked in my brain, ready for the next book. And during that book, during that video, it was a Carrie Can Read video, by the way. She was like, yeah, the next book is crazy, messy, there's a lot going on, so great. I'm really looking forward to that. Well, I've started it. I'll get to it in another video, but I have started it. In terms of like my favorite characters, Rune, number one, easy. Then Bryce, then Hunt. Don't care about anyone else, really. Do I? Maybe like Autumn King. No, 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 no. I was gonna say maybe Autumn King number 4, but like that's stupid. Maybe Declan number 4. Then everyone else, but like Rune is number 1, to be honest, and like he's like the main one for me, I think. In terms of next book predictions, obviously I've read the first 100 pages, but like really my theories are the same as they were before those 100 pages, and that is just that the rebellion is going to be a thing, because like that's surely what we're leading to, and like portals and like going to other worlds, like something like that is going to happen. That's really all I've got. I gave this book, I think I gave it 5 out of 5 stars on Storygraph, but I think that's crazy. I'd probably actually give it like a 4.5 now that I've sat with it for a few days. 4.5 is like solid though. That's like, I mean, to be fair, I do give most books I read quite a high rating, because like if I've read the book, I probably liked it. This video kind of turned into like a opinions slash recap of the book, which like I wasn't sure what this was going to be when I started it, so like that's what this became, I guess. And I think it works. I mean, like I kind of need to recap the plot if I want to give my opinions on the plot. And this wasn't like a detailed plot recap, because like I'm not doing that with these books. I'm not recapping. God bless people that do that. Not me. Not me. These books are too big. They have too much going on. I could actually never. I think writing down my thoughts and like big plot points just to like mention here so that it follows along helped me to like lock in and remember stuff, which was good. I'll be back with book 2 hopefully very soon, because I'm locked in on these books right now, because I have other books I want to read more than these books. Yeah, that's it. We're done. God bless.